Yes. You know, when you see two couples God has blessed, bring together, you will see the radiation of life in them. That is how the two magnets comes together.
So tell me how you feel today, and we're also going to wrap up.
So
you telling us your wish for the children.
My greatest wish for them, where I did not step, let them start from it. Wherever I ended, let it be their starting point. Success, good things of life, good health, everything you can name of. Above all, I want them to know God.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's great having you. You are just joining us. This is Souq Podcast, and it's all about Omaka and Augustine. We have again at this corner Reverend Gbadebo. He actually did the joining of the couple. It's pleased to have you here, sir.
Thank you very much.
So tell us, what is marriage all about? I think you really need to go deep into this since you did the joining.
Okay. Marriage is God's plan for a man and a woman. I must emphasize that fact.
A man and a woman, just the two of them?
Yes, okay. Not a man and a man, not a man, but a man and that is God's plan.
Okay.
According to the scriptures, to fulfill God's purpose here on earth, which is one, to dominate, to subdue, and procreate, and dominate the whole world, and which we have been seeing man right from Adam and Eve even up till now. And that's the purpose. And the purpose of God for marriage is to one, to avoid sexual sin, to avoid immorality, and then to create an avenue where you can have sex without feeling guilty. Then also, it's also to ensure that the man and woman have a companion, a friend, a comforter at all times. You know, many people in the world today are in the world, in the crowd, but they are alone. But marriage was where that is where the two of them are friends. But that is very, very vital, and they know what they are doing, and therefore the purpose of God, we become friends of one another, and that we know that some of the problems we are seeing today that people are facing, which include loneliness, depression, all sorts of emotional issues.
Right. Okay, so a lot of marriages are crumbling today, and we really feel sad because it's a good thing to see people come together and stay together. But by the time we begin to receive reports like, oh, this marriage crumbled, or divorce here and there, we feel so worried. What would you say would be some of these reasons, and how can it be at least reduced, even if we can have that eradicated totally?
It can be reduced, perhaps even eradicated. But you know, when we are in marriage for our own reasons, not for the reason for which the owner of marriage, you know, it's like you going to go and buy a Toyota vehicle and you decide that, oh, this vehicle, I'll run it any way I like, any way I want. It does not work that way. The owner's manual is the Bible. So any home to succeed, like the preacher said today, you must follow the pattern of God, the order of God, which is one, the man must love. Not just sexual love. Love in good times and in bad times. Love with all that you have. Love as Christ loved. Then woman must what? Submit as unto God. So if the two of them are doing what they should do, then there will no need for divorce.
All right. Give us one word for this newlywed couple.
My word to them is that they started the journey with God, and then continue with God and come to God and love one another, respect one another, and also plan to do such a thing like this for their own children together.
For record purpose, before you leave, tell us your name in full.
My name is Reverend Gbadebo.
Thank you so much. Thank
God
you.
Bless you.
Again, we have a friend of the couple. At this corner, it's Souq Podcast, like I've told you before, and we are still on. It's all about Omaka and Augustine. A former good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
It's a pleasure having you sitting here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Tell us about this amazing couple.
I think the one unique perspective I have about them is that they are individually responsible for me meeting my husband.
Oh, I see.
So the first time I met him,
Okay.
God had invited me and my friends over to a party. And then the second time I met him, Amaka had invited me over to a different party, and then that was when
At different occasions.
like almost a year apart.
So
Yeah.
you're talking about how many years now?
So the first meeting was in 2020, the second one was in 21. Yeah.
So tell me, what is that unique thing that you just can't forget that's about them?
I mean, I think it's really how close, like how slow and how slowly they've grown close together. I mean, I think initially it was friendship, and then they've just really taken their time. I think that's one thing I appreciate, and I would say about their relationship is that they took their time to get to this point. They have owned their journey. It's been years, 100%, and I mean, I'm not only happy for them, I'm very proud of how they've done that.
Okay, so if you know them this much, tell me something about them, the food they like, the color, perhaps if you do know.
I know that Amaka is an expert in a particular kind of cuisine, and then, she's a chef. One thing I find interesting about your relationship is that Gus also cooks once in a while, and then I know Amaka doesn't really like cooking at home. So I think it's a very weird. I think it's one thing I find weird, but I mean that's their dynamic.
All right, thank you so much for your time. For record purpose, could you just tell us your name in full again?
Sure, Afama Ofodili Karibo.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Again, we'll have a friend of the couple in the house, Mavi Akintola. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So pleased to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Just tell us about the newlywed couple.
Well, of course, Omaka and Gus, they're my friends from Abu Dhabi, but I've known Omaka since law school, but I met Gus in Abu Dhabi.
So tell me something special about this couple.
Something special was, we didn't expect them to get married.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so why?
Just because they're just very different people. They don't conform to the norms, and they live life on their own terms, and they're not very traditional, so to speak. So they're very modern, very contemporary. So when they decided that you're going to get married, I was like, wow,
Seriously?
hallelujah. Yes, exactly. Yes.
Okay, so
but
it
we're
was-
really happy for them. Yes.
So it was a lot of surprise for virtually
100%. Yes.
Wow. So your prayers and wishes for them.
Lots of money, good health, long life, prosperity, and a peaceful and a happy home.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Take care.
And again, it's Oyinkan Evans on this side of Souq podcast, and she's a friend of the bride. Hello, Oyinkan.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So pleased to have you here. So tell me, for how long have you known the bride?
Oh, I've known Amaka since I think 2011.
Okay.
So that probably makes it 10 years or more. Yeah, it's been a long time.
So tell me something about Amaka.
One thing that I admire about Amaka is that her ability to like change and morph into different things. Like we met in law school, and then she said, oh, she wanted to be a chef, and then she moved to Paris, and then she moved to Abu Dhabi. So I think for me, I can't think of something funny, but that's one thing I admire about her.
So at the point she moved from law into culinary,
Yeah.
so what did you think? What came to mind for you?
It was just interesting. I just thought, oh, that's interesting. Like from law school, and she used to do these dinners for us where we would come to her house in Isheri, and she would cook for us, and she would try different things, or we'll go to our friend Damsel's house, and like those times were so great because it was sort of at the beginning of her journey, and we sort of were with her to see that, and now to see where she is, and like having creating a menu in a restaurant in Abu Dhabi and opening up a second restaurant. So like it's been a journey, and I'm just so proud of her. I think that's what.
As a long-time friend, have you seen Amaka in her downtime, and how were you able to give the necessary support?
I think like Omaka doesn't dwell, which is what like But that's why, like, you know, she's a good friend. Like, she might be down, but she's still like active. You won't know that she's so sad, and
She doesn't
like,
show it.
Yeah, she just moves on. Like, oh, something's happening. I'm just gonna move on. So yeah.
So, your wish for them?
I wish you guys lots of happiness and love, and that you continue to be friends, and that this marriage will be like the most amazing thing that both of you have ever done. So yeah.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you. Alright, again, I have another friend of the bride, Kemi or Jenike. Hello, Kemi.
Hi.
So pleased to have you.
Thank you.
Tell us about the bride.
Okay, I've known the bride since 2006.
Okay.
We went to school together, and she's pretty amazing. I've sort of seen her evolve. Like, she's very committed to whatever she's doing, very willing to try new things. Such a good friend, and it was just such an honor to be here to celebrate with her. I'm really excited to be here to witness today.
So you would agree with me that marriages, you know, of course, are not always a bed of roses. There could be downtime and all of that. How do you want to encourage this newlywed couple, you know, to carry on whenever they have any challenges or something?
Well, I think essentially taking it on as any important project that you would, understanding that it's a lifetime commitment, and giving it your best, being willing to let go of certain things, being willing to compromise, and communicating, ensuring that they understand each other and they listen to each other. I believe that with that, and by the grace of God, I'm sure there's no storm that they cannot weather together. I wish them every success. I wish them abundance, bliss, joy. I wish them resilience. I wish them just everything good that marriage has to offer.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you so much.
Awesome.
Kemi is wishing you guys everything good. And so now I have with me Damisola Akolade, a friend of the bride,
Yes,
right?
that is
Hello,
correct.
Damisola.
Damisola.
So Damisola,
Yes.
let's go into it. Tell me about the bride.
I've been friends with Amaka since 2006, so that makes 18 years now or so. And she's been an absolutely wonderful friend. We've known each other through poverty and career changes. Amaka is one of the few people I know that is very brave and determined. After our law school period at NYSC, Amaka, at the age of, in her 20s, decided she wanted to be a chef, and she took it on with full force. Started from the beginning. That's one of the best things about her. She's very humble. She doesn't mind learning from scratch.
As a friend of 18 years, you experienced the poverty and everything, the progress all together. Could you share a particular moment during the hard time that you can forget?
Well, when I said poverty, we're
Not necessarily poor,
We just didn't
yeah,
have
you know, we get
jobs.
that, you know. But you know, it's not the same if you want to look at it.
Well, yeah, fair
Sometimes.
enough. I would say that we've had experiences where we've had to make sacrifices. So one of the things would be in university, if one of us was broke, the other person would feed us. And then Amaka also started using us as catering practicals.
I see.
And she would invite a bunch of us over to either my house or her house and host and cook for us. So it's been a wonderful friendship over the years.
So your wish for the newlywed couple.
My wish is for you guys to have a wonderful marriage, have a lot of fun. You know, as you are, you see perfection in each other already. So maintain the magic. Don't let life get in your way, and keep on improving and just being the best you can be.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you. I
Okay,
think I love
great.
that part. Maintain the magic. And now it's time for the in-laws. Yeah, we'll be having them coming in one after the other. Right here I have with me Ese, a sister-in-law to the bride. Hello, Ese.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you. So tell me how you feel today.
I feel excited. I feel overjoyed. I'm grateful to God for this day. This day we've been planning and now we are here. I can't express how joyful I feel.
So, as a sister-in-law, what has been the experience with the bride?
With the bride. Wow. My experience, she's very fun, she's very jovial, she's very caring, very kind, easy to speak to, she listens to you, she's very calm in everything, even throughout the wedding planning, very calm. Yeah, have a very calm personality. Yeah.
So, as an experienced person, you were married for a couple of years now.
Yes.
You would have one experience or the other already that you think, oh, perhaps I'm not supposed to have addressed this in this particular way. And then such, would you like to advise them in advance? You know?
Oh, okay. So my advice would be before you speak, think. Because sometimes when you are angry, words can just come out and then you regret it afterwards. So whatever you're doing, always think before you speak. That's my advice. Think before you speak.
Think before you speak. That's very crucial. So your wish for them?
Oh, my wish for them. My wish for you is that you have a joyful, a blissful, a fun, exciting marriage. Marriage have ups and downs, but remember that through your difficulties, work through it together. And like I always tell you, always remember that God is the first. Once you put God in your marriage, everything else is secondary. I wish you all the best. I wish you a life of fun, happiness, load of experience, and I pray that your marriage will be as joyful and as fruitful as mine has been for the past 5 years. And I want to say congratulations to Omaka and Gus, and I pray that God will sustain, keep you, and I can't wait to carry your baby.
And you want to go for Uber, right?
Of course.
All right.
Uber, yeah, we come.
Uber, here she comes. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
In case you're just joining us, this is Souq Podcast, and like I would always say, we take it right from the studio to your destination, anywhere in the world. Well, I remain Grace Komalafe. My name hasn't changed yet, and I have the brother of the groom. Yes, let the men do their thing this time. It's my ladies. It's time for the men to do the talking. Hi.
Hi.
Okay, so I want you to start by telling us your name.
So my name is Cyril Ojotuliacholo. I'm the older brother of the group.
Great. So tell me about your brother. Or you tell me
About my brother. Yeah. Okay. So I mean, I've known him his whole life. He's one of my favorite people. Obviously, very fun, very kind-hearted, very. Just a great person, I'd say, generally. And I'm not just saying that because he's my brother.
Okay.
You can see all the people that showed up to support him today.
Okay.
And obviously I'm very proud of him and proud of Amaka, of course.
Okay, so a lot of people have actually talked about, say so many beautiful things about the bride, about the groom. But because he's a brother, so
Right.
I'm sure you already know everything from brother, even to today. You know
Right.
older. So tell me about those naughty periods, those naughty.
Okay.
You
Yes,
know,
very
let's
naughty.
shake the table a
He
bit,
was a
let's
very
shake the
naughty
table.
child. Yes.
Okay,
No,
so-
no. We had a lot of fun growing up. We got into a bit of trouble
I see.
now and then, but it was always a good time with the family. And I mean, I would spill too much beans about him, but he's always been the baby of the house. So he's actually the youngest of my parents. So he's always the baby of the house. So he got away with a lot of things.
I
So
see.
you can see how free he is
I
now
see.
because But all jokes aside, he was a great brother, a great kid growing up. We went to school together as well. So we kind of spent all that time together, both at home and at school. And nothing but positive things to say about him. He always brought life to whatever
So he's a
situations we
life
were in.
party.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get a bit serious. Let's talk about support. How much of support do you think a couple need to keep them going, especially from the family?
Oh yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm sure they will tell you they need all the support they can get. I think that's always the case. I think everybody does, regardless of your circumstances. I think for them in particular, they do need the support, I'd say, of their family, obviously, their friends, their whole community. I think they have that already. They seem to, at least, I think it's pretty much on display here today. And I think my advice to them would be to continue to rely on that going forward, right? They're going to need it. Hopefully everything goes smoothly, but even when things are going smoothly, it's always good to have people around you can turn to and who will celebrate with you and rejoice with you in the good times. So my advice to them is to continue to take advantage of that as long as they have it. I wish them all the best. I wish them continued love and happiness and success in all their endeavors. Long life, blessings in their family, all the things they wish for themselves, basically prosperity, health, all of that love, and many more years of joy and blessings.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Thank you. Very main man of today, the man of the day. Of course, no other person but the groom. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
How do you feel being weathered today? Please tell us.
As my people say, it's an auspicious day.
Okay.
So what can I do? I'm just happy to be here. They say you go and you find a wife and you found a good thing.
That's it.
I find a good thing, and they said, do right by her. So, I'm actually.
And you just did.
I'm excited.
So tell me, what was that attraction? What attracted the both of you together?
I don't want to show you some secret messages that were shown, but it was attraction at first viewership. I saw her and I said, you know what? This is the one. This is the person, and thanks be to God. We're here.
So I've actually interviewed a couple of people, your friend, her friends, and all of that, and somebody actually mentioned that at some point they didn't believe you guys were going to get married. Kind of really surprised that, wow, are they really getting married? So tell me, aside the fact that you decided to take that decision, were there any point where you feel, maybe it's not just the right step to take?
Oh no, the point was never with her. It was with me and marriage to begin with. But
I see.
As you grow, you mature, and you start making realizations and coming to key moments, and the minute I crossed the threshold of it's time to get married and be a responsible man, as they say, I knew what I had to do, and I knew who I was going to be with, and the rest, as they say, is history.
What are those special moments while you guys were still on the road before you got very, very serious? Those special moments you remember and you can't just forget?
Like 2 days ago, when I married her traditionally.
Just 2 days ago.
And then 2 days before that, when I married her in the court.
Okay.
And then before that, we've had a good time. It's been a good number of years now.
Her best food, her best color, her best.
Ask me a question that
no, now let's know.
I don't want to say one now, and then my guy at the top
will say
another one.
Are you sure?
Her best color is whatever color she says.
Okay.
Her best food, whatever food she
Look at this is this is not accepted. But okay, we're just gonna let it go. So, tell me, where do you see yourself in, let's say, in another 5-10 years?
Another 5-10 years, Hopefully not here right now because.
No, this is a reception.
Yes.
It's a wedding.
But happy with my wife and hopefully maybe 1 or 2 children, depending on how God wants to bless us.
How about 4 or 5?
Again, depending on how, if God wants to give me a 4 or 5, if He should give me like 4 or 500 million,
oh great,
go with it.
All right.
4 or 5 more patience and
that's it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. We appreciate you coming today, and we wish you a very beautiful marriage.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Again, and I have with me another friend of the groom. His name is Desmond. Hello, Desmond.
Nice to meet you.
It's a pleasure. And how do you feel today having your friend, getting married?
I'm really happy for Desmond. I'm happy that he's found a partner, a life partner, and then I pray for him and his marital journey, and I'm sure that he's going to be fruitful.
So for how long have you known Augustine?
I've known him since 1999. So that is
that's a long time.
25 years.
Okay. Yes. So what has been the experience like?
Augustine has been a very fantastic friend. So Augustine is a reliable person, and he's someone that you can count on. I've always counted on him. And there's one thing that is very peculiar about Augustine. Augustine is a connector. What I mean that he's very friendly. He has so many friends across board. Like, he easily makes friends. So even some of the friends I have today who have come to be my very good friend are some people who I met through Augustine. So he's just a very jovial fellow.
Okay, so tell me, because you've been friends for so many years, about 24, 25 years, did you ever fight? How do you resolve?
I don't have any history.
You can't even think of one.
I don't have any history of any serious rancor. Augustine is like, yeah, of course, there would have been each times maybe you would have probably argued. The thing about knowing someone from a very young age, you seem to have quite a good understanding of the person. So there isn't really that room for so much rancor. So we always find ways to resolve things. So if, let's say, I find Augustine right now, he's pissed off with me about something, I'll probably push him like, why you angry? What's that? And he will just smile. So those are the kind of things.
He's lying. He's lying.
I said the good ones, guys. I don't want to.
So you see, that means you actually have a cockroach in your cupboard. You actually cover it. Did you just hear him say you're lying? Is that something you are supposed to tell us that you are not talking about?
There's nothing that I'm telling. Everything I'm telling you is what you need to know.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Desmond.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, it's still about Omaka and Augustine, and this is Souq podcast. Like I always say, taking it from the studio to your very destination anywhere in the world. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Congratulations, Augustine. So let me start with you.
Yes.
What was the attraction? Let's start from there. Oh my!
Fine boy.
He's not entirely wrong. I mean, I saw the picture and I swiped right. So that was the first thing.
Oh my! And that has kept you guys together. So at what point, that's been good, right? At what point did you make up your mind to say, oh, I'm just going to go with him right away?
I can't pinpoint the exact point.
I would tell you.
But I remember we were taking a walk in Green Island, like I told him before, where we live, and he saw a man who was randomly by the side of the road, and this man was in tears. And most people would just walk by, like it's not their business. But he made the decision to stop, to ask the guy what's going on with him, what's wrong, and to try to comfort him when he realized this was during COVID 2020. And I was shocked because I was like, you don't know this person from anywhere, but you just have the kind of heart where you feel for that stranger. And in my head, I was like, how much more for me? And it's just at that point, one of the points that I would say that was like, yeah, your heart is beautiful, and I want this to happen for me the rest of my life.
Oh wow, that's super amazing. Okay, so he's blushing. All right, so I mean, she just mentioned something very special about you. What's that thing that is so special that you think that made you make up your mind you'll be good with it?
Yes.
I'm ready.
Am I putting you? No, you are. She's here now, so let's say it.
I said it was love at first sight.
Okay.
Not love all the way, but definitely strong attraction at first sight.
Okay.
And then getting to know her, some people have like one defining moment that is like, oh, and this is when I realized. But me, I'm very playful, so I was just playing, and then I woke up one day and realized I was in love.
Wow.
Yes.
Just that.
Yes.
So how long?
I can tell you her date. She's lying to you. It was like March 21st, 2021.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then she looked me in the eye so quietly and said, I love you.
Oh my.
Yeah. And I said, I love you.
Too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So 2021 till date, you're talking about 3 years. Have there been challenges? Have there been hard times? Have there been times you guys were like, I don't think I can do this?
I mean, of course.
So how did you manage?
You just keep choosing. You just decide that, you know what, this is my choice, and this is the choice I want to stand by. And it just sort of works in a way that works for us.
So before I ask you guys about your wishes, of course I know you're wishing yourself the best, but we just want to hear you say, now you're going to turn away, and she's going to mention, tell me your color. I've asked this before.
What color?
your best color?
Yes, please. Let me hear our answer to this. Actually, thank you very much. Thank you.
And you are going to tell us her
I
best
think
food.
I don't even know that he has the best color. Let's not even
great.
go. However, he wears like dark colors. He wears blues. He wears a lot of blue.
Okay.
And he wears a lot of blacks as well. And it's very strange.
That's about 3 colors already.
I'm telling you, there's no specific color that is his favorite color.
Okay.
That's answered this question.
Don't know my answer.
Maybe after today you're going to make a decision. You're going to decide
maybe
one.
decide.
You've come too far to make a decision. I beg.
Okay, so to you, I just want you to turn away so you don't do like this. What's her best food?
What's her best food?
Yes.
I say her best food is the food she cooks. That being said, she does love a good fisherman's soup and swallow and banga, something with obstacles.
Oh, really?
You have to cross them, you have to hop to.
Is that true?
You have to hop to your nourishment.
Oh yeah. Is that true? Is that true?
Answer the question.
Yeah, I do love banga. Banga I really enjoy.
He got it. Okay, so your
But
wishes.
I also like plantain.
She also loves plantain.
Plantain is not food, though. Plantain is accompaniment.
Okay, so let's wrap it up by you sharing your beautiful wishes.
Right?
Yeah. Just share.
You can do for both of us, no? What is this? As a man.
Okay. What is what our wishes?
Yeah.
What can we wish for again? But long life and a fulfilling marriage filled with love, happiness, and the 20 children the MC said 2 days ago. We don't want that.
Okay. I said 4 though.
We want the 2 or 3 that she accepted.
Okay,
she
accepted.
said 2, I said 3.
Okay, that's fine. All right, thank you. Do you have something you want to say to beautiful women that are hoping and trusting that someday it will come?
I'm just sorry for you. My race
You
has
will say
finished.
your own are finished. Okay.
I mean, it's a choice, no? If you want it, you have it. If you don't want it, that's also fine. It's just,
All right.
you choose.
All right. Thank you. It's so good having the both of you at the podcast corner for Souq News Television, and we wish you all of the best. Beautiful marriage.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
guys.
And again, we'll have another special person at the side of Souq Podcast. It's still all about Omaka and Augustine, and she's no other person than Joy Femi Wash. It's pleased to have you. Okay, so because the bride is your niece, I'm sure you have a whole lot to talk about. So share with us about the bride.
Okay. As an auntie, they grow up in my hands.
Oh, great.
Practically, I trained them in what they call education. They started learning how to speak from me. They started learning how to read from me. I was auntie that they will never forget.
Wow, that's so amazing. And tell me, those days while growing up, did you really see the future knowing that something beautiful is going to come out from such a child?
Yes, because she's a child to be with. When she was born, when looking at her, she was very beautiful. And she was very promising. She's intelligent, very capable. Whatever she wants, she will find it. And she grew up in my hand as a baby. She became my chief bridesmaid.
Oh, that's great.
She was bridesmaid.
Oh, my.
And aside from that, the mother and the father, the one that gave me education, what they call, they sent me to university, trained me in university. What I am today can be
That's great.
And they love their aunt. And aside from that, I know from
Thank
my
you.
heart.
That's great. That's really good to hear, I must say. So, because you have a lot of experience now, you've been married for years. So, what advice do you have for this newlywed couple?
Okay. Patience, dedication, determination, investment. They should invest into their marriage. Investment in the sense that they should love each other. They should support each other. best for each other. Should be established. They should work in harmony, trusting each other, believing that whatever each one has is also for them.
So your wish for them?
My wish for them is that we live a blissful marriage, married with families, married that we will have children. That's the wish, because it's what they desire.
That's it. Thank you so much for your time, and we appreciate you coming around. Thank you for all the good works you've actually been doing, and also for raising Omaka. Thank you so much. And again, we have Marvelous Orugo here with us to talk about the bride. Because he's a brother to the bride, actually. Hello, Marvelous.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good.
Tell me how excited you are.
I'm actually excited. I'm elated, actually. I'm happy, filled up with joy, and a lot of energy as well. I'm just storing it for when it's necessary to actually express myself. I am actually.
Okay, so tell us about Omaka.
Omaka, like her name says, right? Amaka, like she's very pretty. She's pretty. She will catch your attention from anywhere, right? She's happy. She's filled up with energy. She has a very strong personality, so she stands out. Very expressive. She's not one that you can just shut down or put aside, and like she's the menu, like she's the entire menu, right?
So but was there a time that you felt like, oh, Amaka, I really don't like this, and you feel very unhappy with her?
Yes, we've had moments, right, which is normal with family, right? We've had moments, lots of it growing up, especially since she's my older sister, right? I'm the one following her. Like after her, it's me. So we had moments, right? We went to the same primary school, Maryland Comprehensive, and then we both went to Air Force. I joined Air Force GSS2. She was already in senior secondary. So I was in Air Force for 2 years, and she was as well in Air Force. And maybe the Air Force team as well actually was part of the process, because she was part of the cadets then.
I see.
Yeah, we would go out, and then during the period of, I forgot what they called them, but we had this march pass, and she would have to dress up in her military attire. And then back then, I'm not shy to say this, but she used to lap me, right? And so we're sort of close, but we had our moments too where we had them. Like you said, we had differences, right? And those differences, which was normal. I'm a guy, right? And she's a lady. There will be times where she wants me to do things, and I have like my own stuff like that, basically. So we had our differences. There were times where I found it annoying, and like I said, she has a very strong personality, so she's not the type that you want to shove aside, like, right? So yeah, we had differences growing up in school, but I always appreciated her. Like I valued her a lot, especially that period where like she sort of paved the way for me, right? Coming into secondary school, like she had friends in senior secondary, and you're Omaka's brother, and I used to always mix up with her friends, and we always used to go home together. So yeah.
Alright, now Omaka is married. How do you feel?
I'm happy. At the same time, I'm actually very happy for her, right? Because it's something that I always used to pray about, right? That she finds someone that complements her, basically, because she has a very strong personality. She's hardworking, she's diligent, she's smart, she reads a lot of books. So growing up, she always used to read a lot, like, and then she's also a lawyer, so she speaks, like, she's expressive, right? And she's very fluent in speaking, right? So my prayer was always for her to find someone that complements her, right? A man that complements her, right? And seeing us, I just totally understood, okay, I see why he's the one, right? Because he does compliment her. Like, so even when she's tensed, because she does a lot, right? She's a chef, right? So her personality would always come out, but there's that, you need someone that's there for you, right? For those times where she has it all she has it all structured, right? But there will be times where she might tend to fall apart, right? It's only normal for a human, right? Yeah, so there's someone that would be there to comfort her and just pull her together, right? That supportive personality, right?
So your wish for them today?
My wish for them today is the love that they have found. I pray never ceases to or never disappears, right? I see the way they look at each other, that spark. And like I said, the personality is the key to it all, right? Finding someone that's your friend. I'm wishing them a happy married life, right? I'm wishing them success. I'm wishing them growth. I'm wishing them understanding, right? Love, passion, friendship. They should never lose out on, right? They should always remember how they started, the moments, the laughters, the downtimes, right? Because there will definitely be, right? And there will be more in the future, right? But the friendship is what will bond them together and keep them strong, waxing very strong. So I wish them a very happy and happy home. Lots of wishes that they wish for themselves. I also wish it for them as well, right? Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. The energy here today has been super amazing, right from guests, friends of the couples, and even the couples themselves. It's been so amazing. But you know what? We just have to say goodbye. And so as we're calling it a close on Souq podcast today, I want to remind you that you can reach out to us for all of your full video coverage. And of course, you want a podcast session like this at your event, we are fully available. You can just reach out to us via the number on your screen or through our social media platforms. Once again, I am Grace Komolafe, and until next time, we see you again.
Well, I think as the name goes, we are still faring very well. We are still holding on. Basically, Niger Delta Power Holding Company Limited is a Nigerian company owned by the federal government of Nigeria, the 36 states, and the 774 local governments. The federal government has 47% shares in NDPHC, and the 36 states and federal capital territory, plus the 774 local governments own the remaining 53%. Originally, it was supposed to be a stopgap, build and sell power plants to increase the power availability. But in the process, as the company moved along, they discovered that if you build power plants, you also have to build complementary transmission networks. And then if you have transmission networks, you will also need the distribution network so that the power can ultimately get to the consumers. And so because of the gap that was in the sector at the time, Niger Delta Power Holding Company Limited was asked to build more power transmission networks, substations, injection substations. So over time, we had grown into the behemoth that we are today. Principally, we have 8 power plants functioning now, and then 2 are in the process of being completed. So that's what Niger Delta has been. But basically, I can say without any iota of contradiction that Niger Delta Power Holding Company Limited has been able to increase the capacity, the network capacity
by about 50%, and of course the distribution capacity by about 60%. We are capable of producing up to 4,000 megawatts now, but there are still some constraints in the transmission network, which is being addressed by the various arms of government and the various stakeholders in the sector. If I want to talk about the problems in the power sector, you need more than an hour program. They are multifaceted. And each time solutions are being found, they are not far-reaching enough. For instance, before the enactment of the Electric Power Sector Reform Act, it was thought that the problem was we didn't have enough generation power, and that's what gave rise to the NIPP, which is the National Integrated Power Project, which was basically to increase the power availability in Nigeria. And there were gaps because at that time, I don't think the solution was holistic enough. I'm talking of during the time of President Olusegun Obasanjo. You remember the National Integrated Power Project was conceived at the time. And it's strange that for the past many years, we are talking about 4,000 megawatts, 4,000. In reality, the available power in Nigeria is about 16,000 megawatts now, between 13,000 and 16,000 megawatts. So you wonder, why are we producing or generating or putting on the grid about 4,800 megawatts? So there's a gap. And the gap is basically the fact that the present network is aged. It's inadequate. There is fragmentation in the sector. You have, as of today, about 26 different bodies in the power sector. And it's a typical Nigerian problem. Once Nigeria identifies a problem, they create another agency to deal with that problem, rather than looking at the problem in the eye and say, this is the problem. And I can give you so many examples. For instance, traffic, which is very basic to everybody. When after the Udoji Award in the early 70s, I think it was in the early 70s, and people had phoned to purchase cars, traffic began to grow. Now, instead of taking a holistic attitude and train the police to do what they're supposed to do, expand the road networks, and begin to put a culture of driving properly in the country, we created the yellow fever, the traffic wardens at the time. You remember at the time, traffic warden was separated from the Nigerian police. That's right. And the problem was not solved because the people were still constrained to virtually the same network of roads, more cars on the same network of roads. And then we stopped training drivers. So Federal Road Safety Commission was formed. And of course, I'm sure that you all know that the problem became worse. And now all of the state governments are creating their own variants of the Federal Road Safety Corps. An example is LASMA in Lagos. And the people are still on the same roads. So whereas we had 200 cars on a stretch of road, now we have 1,000. Now we have drivers who cannot read traffic signs, which are not even there. So today, when people see traffic lights, either in Abuja or in Lagos, I mean, they don't even know what to do. I'm sure that, I can't remember the last time we trained drivers in Nigeria. I cannot remember the last time we trained drivers in Nigeria. It's the same thing with the issue of corruption. When we detected, corruption was increasing, we started creating so many variants of, and I always ask the question, where is the equivalence of EFCC in the countries that we're trying to be like? So we have created EFCC, we have created ICPC, we have created Bureau for, what was that other agency? Sorry? No. Those are another problem entirely. The BP and the BPP, I mean, I'm talking of Code of Conduct Bureau. But in all honesty, can we say that corruption has reduced in Nigeria? Can we say that? So the problem is that we don't look at problems in the face and deal with the issue rather than creating bodies and bodies and bodies and bodies. We don't have the variants of EFCC, ICPC, and Code of Conduct Bureau in the countries that we're trying to be like. In this age and times, honestly, it's not rocket science. There is hardly anything you want to do that has not been done before or that is not being done in some other places. I mean, so you see in various sectors that once we identify a problem, rather than look the problem in the eye and providing solution to it, we create another body. It will appear to me that it is finding job for the boys, and that is one of the reasons why we are where we are today. I cannot remember the last time anybody had to do driving tests to obtain a driver's license. I can't remember. In the US, if you want to obtain a driver's license, it's a long process. And I remember my daughter, when she went to the US at the age of 18, I remember when she wanted to go and obtain a driver's license, she called me and said, "Daddy, please pray for me." And I think the first time she went there, she didn't make it. And it was one slight error. And eventually, she had to go back, to retake the test. So that's what I see that we're doing wrong. And that has virtually destroyed all the sectors. The power sector is faced with so many problems. I was trying to explain to you, for instance, that the discos have various coverage areas. And if you take them one by one, you will see that some of them are covering a landmass that is bigger than 2, 3, 4 African countries together. Somebody was on my secondary school classmates forum. Somebody was trying to do a comparison between Botswana and Nigeria. And I said, Botswana has 581,000 kilometers, square kilometers. But 70% of that is Kalahari Desert. So effectively, what they have is less than 100 and something thousand kilometers. Nigeria has a vast land. Botswana has a population of 2.5 or 2 point something million. You can't compare that to, there's no basis. There's no basis. And so if they have 1,000 naira, their GDP is likely to be higher than that of Nigeria. Nigeria has 210 million people. Yes, officially. You can see the population of Lagos. I'm sure that the population of Botswana is not as thick as Surulere alone. I am not trying to give excuses for what we are in Nigeria or how we're doing things badly. But I'm saying that we have a giant problem. We have giant problems in all of the areas. And we need to put our heads together to provide solutions to these problems. You know, you can say that Nigeria is a country in progress. I know that we have enough human resources, we have enough intellectuals to find solutions to our problems. And I'm beginning to see that the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is tackling the problems headlong. I don't want to say that they work in silos. I mean, it would not be absolutely correct. I don't want to say that. That would be too negative. I would like to say that there's need for better collaboration between all of us. And then one of the greatest things that we need to do is that there must be a coordinating agency that is not encumbered with or by bureaucratic procedures. Okay, NEC is supposed to be the regulator in the society. Now, like I said before, if you have a regulator, they must be trained. And we shouldn't be ashamed to train our regulators and to ensure that we have the right people in those positions. But like I said, almost all the agencies in Nigeria, you find a lawyer heading an engineering company. You know, I mean, it's not done. And what happens is that I don't want to create a war between professions. But the truth of the matter is that if you are a lawyer and you have you're doing legal consultancy in the sector, that doesn't make you to be chief executive of a purely engineering company. You know, the last time it was an accountant that was in charge of one of the parastatals in the sector, and you know, even now that there's a new government, you see all kinds of people trying to outdo each other here and there. TCN, for instance, is supposed to be in charge of the transmission networks, but you have the independent ISO under them. How is that going to work? I mean, that is supposed to be an independent, and it cannot be under TCN. You know, the discos, for instance, who is supervising them? NERC is supposed to supervise them, but you have on the board BPE, you know, that has 40% of the shares. And they're supposed to monitor them. Are they doing that? And then now the Yoruba people say amukun eru ewo oni ewo saleni. That is, if a man is crippled or has bent knees and is carrying a load, it's not likely that the load will be straight because the legs are bent anyway. So that is the problem that we have. You know, the root cause, we are not attacking the root cause. You know, the electricity power sector reform has a transition program. But unfortunately, because we didn't do the privatization properly, we gave it to people who have no financial resources. They borrowed money from the banks to purchase the concession anyway. Or, you know, because they borrowed money from the bank, they don't have enough funds to to repair the aging facility that they inherited. So that is a problem. Now the bank is on them. The bank lent them money for 5 years, or whereas this is a sector that is, you need long-term fund. You need to have enough money to lay new cables, replace transformers. Some of these transformers have been there since 1960 something. To replace them. Look, where I come from in Ondo South Central District, we have not had power for up to 15 years now from the national grid. Everybody is an electricity generator company on his own. When we stepped into it to see what was happening, we discovered that the distribution company did not have enough money to repair the damaged distribution networks. So NDPC stepped into it, and we've spent almost 3 billion to repair all of that. Or almost 3 billion. I mean, we're talking about 6 local governments. At a point, by the time we had finished the reticulation of the networks in 5 of the local governments, we discovered that there is the source of supply is from Ondo. Ondo has a 2 by 30 MVA substation. One of that substation is gone. So it means that the distance of almost 100 kilometers from Ondo to Ore and to Ilaje, to Igbokoda area, to Mahin and Co. Just one single 33 kV line is coming from that. So by the time the light gets to Okitipupa, what you have is candle light. It's the same thing we saw in Lafia, for instance. For years, Lafia, even the government house in Lafia, was being operated on generator because the single line feeding Lafia and the entire Nasarawa state is from Abuja. So that's why we stepped in and built the 330, 132, 33 kV substation, which was commissioned early last year by President Muhammadu Buhari. And you can see the joy in the faces of the people. Now, in Ondo South Central District, for instance, they are the NDDC, not NDPHC, is building a 132 kV substation in Uderinije, which should help to bring power from Omotosho and to that area. But they have been on it for years now. And without the completion of that, there's nothing that can happen in the place. They will still have candlelight. So these are the problems. Now, NDDC is independent of NEC. It's virtually independent of the DISCO. It's independent of but they are doing a good work because they have offered to do, they have identified the problem and they have offered to do it. But who is coordinating these activities to ensure that everybody is working? And you know, one of the things I always complain about is that since this past 6-10 years, for instance, TCN has many of its projects are 85-90% completed. Some of the problems are just way live that the government should collaborate with the state governments to resolve. But what do you have? A substation is ready in Akure, for instance. A 330 kV substation is ready in Akure. The transmission line is supposed to come from Oshogbo to Akure, and another transmission line is supposed to come from Benin and drop in Akure. Because of way live issue along the route from Oshogbo to Akure, that project has been stalled for almost 6 years. So there has to be an organization that is above NEC, that is linked only to the president, that will look at all of these things. I talked about the fragmentation in the sector. You know, look, and let me tell you something. I know that electricity is a commercial venture. And when you put your money there, you should be able to recover your investment. However, it's also a social contract between the government and the people. It's a social contract. You know, so if you have such a transmission line, everybody should be involved. And I remember that it has to be a responsibility. I remember when we were doing a project in Owerri. And because the transformers have been there for a long time, we needed to remove the transformers to a workshop somewhere in Ikorodu there for repairs, so that when they take them back, it can function properly. And we had given authority to the EPC contractor to go and remove the transformer. But of course, when the community saw that they were removing their transformer, this was a transformer that has not been functioning for the past 10, 15 years. They refused to let them go, and the governor had to intervene. The governor also refused to let them take the transformer away. I had to personally intervene with the governor, speak with the governor, write an undertaking before the transformer can be moved to the workshop for repairs. It's not repairs, but you know, they need to change the oil and, you know, make sure it's in good working condition, because it's been on the plinth for 15 years. So there has to be a coordinating agency that is devoid of bureaucratic encumbrance. You know, initially, NDPAC was created from the federation account. The initial seed money for NDPAC was from the federation account. However, since we started producing electricity, let me put it that way, we don't receive subvention from the government. So our revenue is from the sale of electricity, sale of energy to the network and to what we call willing buyers. For instance, you will see that we still, even outside the country, we sell power to countries outside Nigeria. Yeah. So that's how we derive our, but because also we are owned by the 3 tiers of government, we have also embarked on working with the other sectors to improve the networks. For instance, we build distribution. So from the profit that we have, we build distribution networks virtually in all. There is no state in Nigeria that has not felt the impact of NDPAC. And then we, like I said, the transmission substation in Lafia was constructed by NDPAC. It's like LNG. I mean, LNG cannot receive subvention from the federal government anymore. You know, I mean, of course, initially, government put in their own investment and the private sector put in their own investment. I'm hoping that we will move away from this structure in NDPAC. I'm really hoping that we'll move and adopt the NLG structure, for instance, and bring in a huge investor to acquire 49% so that we can start operating like an LNG. You know, there's a lot of confusion in the society, you know, and even those even some high government officials don't even know the functions of NDPAC. They don't even know. I mean, we were in a gathering some time ago, and a former minister who claimed to have been a part of the conception of NDPAC was annoyed when somebody threw a question at him, and he said, "What are you talking about? I don't have power in my house, and you guys are sitting down there." And I had to lecture him and say, "Hey, I'm not supposed to put power in your house. I'm just a businessman, you know, in the sector, producing oil, producing power electricity like every other person, like what's the name of Elumelu's Transcorp Power, and selling it. That's all we are. The problems are enormous. But I believe very strongly that the discos as they are now don't have the capacity. There has to be a restructuring of that sector. Under whatever you want to call it, maybe breaking their franchise into little bits. One or two of them are doing well. Eco, Disco, Ikeja Disco, yeah. Because, and also, you know, the problems are different. So, but for most of them, look, if you, let me give you an example. If you need to, under Yola Distribution Company, I mean, you know how wide that sector, I mean, that part of the country is. If you need to take a 33 kV line from one town to the other, you may be doing 100 kilometers. Whereas under the Eco Disco franchise, I mean, 100 kilometers will do 2, 3, 4, 5 communities. So we need to restructure these discos. We need to support the discos to develop a new program tailored to reduce ATC and C losses. What is ATC and C? Aggregate technical, commercial, and collecting losses. Now, when you take power from Ondo, for instance, to Ilaje, 100 kilometers, by the time, and don't forget that along that route, you are dropping power for Ore, for Ajebandele, for this, for that. By the time you get to the end, what you have is candlelight. So you will need to and the discos don't have the finances to do these things. I said earlier that the privatization was not properly done. Okay. I'm not sure that those people have an understanding of what they were getting into. Everybody thought the power sector was like the telecommunications sector. But it is not. The amount of infrastructure that you need to put in place, physical infrastructure that you need to put in place for power is totally different from that. Because apart from your cell in telecommunication and the handset there's nothing that you need to do. You probably don't need to put poles, pay compensation. Fiber optic is for specific areas. I mean, for specific things, and it doesn't stop the telecommunication facilities.
After all, they can use satellite.
Yes, they exactly from functioning very well. Okay. So that the difference is, but you cannot send power remotely. You need cables, you need poles, you need transmission lines, you need all sorts of things. You need transformers. The discos should be responsible for them. But when they don't have the fund, what do? You can see that many of them, about 7 of them, are under receivership now. Some sort of receivership or the other. You can see. Because they borrowed money from the banks and they were not able to pay back within the time they thought, I mean, they were going to be able to pay back. You have to deal with each one of them, you know, on it has to be a tailored solution to each disco. You cannot apply the same brush for all of them. Well, the truth of the matter is that at some point there will be increase in tariff. However, this is not the time for it. I mean, Nigeria, I mean, we are doing a lot of reforms now. The removal of the subsidy has increased the cost of living in Nigeria. The exchange rate, harmonization of the exchange rates is also going to affect the economy and the earning power of the common Nigerian, even though that should not be the case, because I can tell you for free that no business organization was charging their customers based on the 400 and something naira to the dollar that the CBN was and that's a fraud on its own, because CBN knows that there is nobody who is selling anything in Nigeria decides the cost of that good based on the CBN exchange rate. It's simple, because they are not sure that they will get, I mean, when they need to replace machinery, raw materials, they were not sure that they could get the dollars from CBN. So this is the best thing that could have happened.
The Naira float.
The Naira float is the best thing that can happen to our nation, Nigeria. And I'm surprised, because every expert and non-expert had been advising CBN to do this for so long. So I'm surprised that the CBN was reluctant to do what is needful, and that's about the corruption in the system. So this is not the time, and I'm advising government too. This is not the time to increase tariff. Honestly, subsidizing the power sector is not good for the economy, because the truth of the matter is that 80% of the subsidy in the power sector is being enjoyed by people who can afford to pay for electricity. That's the truth. The low tariff pays only the rich. You know, the poor people just take advantage, just like in fuel too. Look, if you have 10 cars and you put all the 10 cars on the road, the poor man has only one way to go, just to go to office and come back, and you know. But the man who has 10 cars will want, the wife will take one, the children will take one, the workers will take, and that's what is happening in the sector. So yes, this is not the time to think about increasing tariff. It will look, in the past, everybody, the cost of diesel was very high, right? Now, a lot of people migrated to using petrol generators. Now the cost of petrol is even almost higher than the cost of, because petrol burns faster, you use more petrol for your generator than diesel. So generating power in your house now, where you don't have power supply from the national grid, is a big problem. No, there is no doubt in my mind that we need to migrate to prepaid meter. I mean, not only intelligent meters, so that when we have intelligent meters, nobody can manipulate their consumption. You know, if you go to some hotels in the past, all of the heavy-duty consuming equipment, their laundry, their air conditioners are connected directly, or they bypass the meters, you know. But if you have intelligent networks, that cannot happen, because it will be discovered, and then you will be dealt with.
warm welcome to you this afternoon. It's the World News on Souq News Television. I am Grace Komalafe. Let's bring you stories around the world, starting from South Africa. South Africa's new travel rule issued by the Financial Intelligence Center now requires crypto asset service providers to collect and share clients' information when facilitating crypto transfers above 5,000 rounds. The new rule, which takes effect from the 30th of April, also mandates service providers to report transactions less than 5,000 rounds if there is a suspicion of money laundering or terrorism financing. The short-term impact of the rule will be to raise the cost of compliance for exchanges, while the long-term impact could unlock access to regulated markets and attract institutional investors concerned about crypto's perceived lack of regulatory compliance. The move is part of South Africa's bid to remove the country from the grey list after failing to meet international standards on money laundering and terrorism financing, with crypto transfers seen as points of vulnerability. And South African rand strengthened on Friday following United States President Donald Trump's announcement of planned reciprocal tariffs on countries taxing United States imports. Investors also turned their focus to South Africa's upcoming national budget, expected to provide economic direction, as 7,753 Greenwich Mean Time, the rand traded at 18.4275 per dollar, up 0.3% from its previous close, while the United States dollar weakened overnight. Gold prices rose amid growing trade war concerns, marking a 7th consecutive weekly gain. Analysts from ETM Analytics noted that the rally in the safe haven asset supported the rand, with expectations that the United States dollar to South African rand exchange rate might drop between 18,400. However, they cautioned that Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana's budget speech next week could influence further movement in the currency. Meanwhile, South Africa's stock market responded positively, with the blue chip top 40 index rising 1.1%. The country's benchmark 2030 government bond also saw gains, which yields falling 3.5 basis points to 9.13%. Investors are closely watching fiscal policy announcements for insight into economic stability and future investment opportunities. Away from that, Saudi Arabia Bank SNB, the country's largest bank by asset, is working to attract back wealthy depositors after a decline in funds following its 2021 merger with Samba Financial Group. SNB's deposit dropped by 1.7% to 580 billion Saudi riyal by December 31, largely due to customer withdrawals from current and savings account (CASA). Meanwhile, time deposits increased, offering higher interest rates, but pressuring the bank's net interest margin, which fell to 3% in 2024. Saudi banks are facing intense competition for deposit as loan demand surge, fueled by the kingdom's economic growth and giga projects. SNB's annual net profit rose just 6% in 2024, lagging behind rivals like Al Rajhi Bank and Riyadh Bank, with Saudi Arabia's banking sector projected to grow by 12% in 2025. SNB is focusing on reclaiming its former high net worth clientele to strengthen its deposit base and sustain future loan growth. Arab nations are urgently working to create a practical plan for Gaza's future, aiming to counter the United States President Donald Trump's proposal, which suggests U.S. control over the territory and the displacement of Palestinians to Egypt and Jordan. This diplomatic push comes amid long-standing efforts to resolve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, with regional leaders seeking a solution that ensures stability and Palestinian self-governance. The history of Middle East peace effort dates back to the 1967 Six-Day War, after which several initiatives sought to address territorial disputes and Palestinian sovereignty. Key milestones include the 1978 Camp David Accord, which led to Israel's withdrawal from Sinai, and the 1993 Oslo Accords, which established a framework for Palestinian self-rule. Despite numerous summits and agreements, lasting peace remains elusive, as seen in the failed 2000 Camp David summit and the short-lived optimism of the 2020 Abraham Accords. With tensions in Gaza escalating, Arab leaders are striving to prevent forced Palestinian displacement while advocating for a sustainable governance model. And now in Turkey and Pakistan aim to increase bilateral trade to $5 billion, about 180.5 billion Turkish lira, after witnessing a 30% year-on-year growth, reaching $1.4 billion in 2024, according to Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan, speaking at a business forum in Islamabad. Erdogan emphasized that Turkey is expanding its preferential trade agreement with Pakistan, moving towards a free trade agreement to further boost trade volume. In May 2023, Pakistan cut tariffs on 130 product categories, while Turkey reduced taxes on 261 products to enhance trade flows. Turkish investors are also expected to increase their presence in Pakistan, developing flagship projects, local media reported following Erdogan's meeting with Pakistani President Asif Ali Zardari. Erdogan's visit to Pakistan followed his trips to Malaysia and Indonesia. This week, Turkish defense company Baker signed an agreement with Indonesia's Republic Corp to establish a drone manufacturing plant in the country. Turkey's court flower industry blooms amid rising demand. We'll bring you details after this break. Coming back to Turkey, cut flower industry is thriving, with February marking its busiest month as growers export over 70 million flowers for Valentine's Day. The sector expects revenue of $8 to $10 million, with International Women's Day in March driving additional sales. Improved logistics and rapid delivery have strengthened Turkey's position in European markets, competing with exporters from Kenya and Latin America. The Netherlands, the UK and Germany remain the top destinations, while Turkish growers are also expanding into Gulf and Central Asian markets. Despite economic challenges such as rising costs and a stable lira limiting foreign currency earnings, the industry remains resilient. Export grew 2% last year, reaching $1,041 million, with a target of $150 million for 2025. Industry leaders are optimistic about long-term growth, supported by Turkey's expanding greenhouse production and strong international demand. On economic growth data from Singapore's Ministry of Trade and Industry (MTI) have showed that the economy grew by 4.4% in 2024 when compared with 1.8% growth in 2023. The expansion surpassed projected estimate of 4%, while the 2025 growth forecast range remains unchanged at 1 to 3%. For 2024, the main drivers of Singapore's gross domestic product (GDP) were wholesale trade, finance, insurance, and manufacturing. The MTI data further showed that growth in the finance and insurance sector was driven by elevated trading activity amid shifts in global and domestic financial market sentiments, which led to strong growth in the fees and commissions among banks and fund managers. Moving ahead, the People's Bank of China, PBOC, has completed the tender of 60 billion yuan worth of central bank bills in Hong Kong to stabilize the yuan amid tariff tensions with the U.S. This marks the second time the policy tool is being used this year as the issuance aimed to enrich Hong Kong's high credit rating yuan financial product and improve Hong Kong's yuan yield curve. China's central bank has made a series of moves since January to support Hong Kong's status as a global hub for the offshore yuan, including a 100 billion yuan trade financing facility for banks and a new program for offshore yuan repurchase agreements. The PBOC tendered the bills through the Central Money Market Unit of the Hong Kong Monetary Authority. And in China, China is looking to improve bilateral ties with the United Kingdom to further cooperate in infrastructure, trade, and investment between the two nations. The Foreign Minister of China, Wang Yi, made an official visit to the UK on Thursday 14th to hold talks with the UK's Prime Minister, Foreign Minister, and National Security Advisor. Wang Yi spoke with UK's Prime Minister Keir Starmer in a meeting emphasizing that the two nations need to strengthen strategic communication, enhance mutual trust, and demonstrate responsibility as major countries. According to Prime Minister's spokesperson, Prime Minister Starmer responded to Wang Yi, stating his intentions to build a consistent and respectful relationship between China and the UK, which includes deepening cooperation in trade, investment, and other areas that would amount to mutual benefits between the two nations. India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has presented the new Income Tax Bill 2025 to the lower House of Representatives, Lok Sabha. The proposed legislation, spanning 536 clauses across 622 pages, aims to replace the existing 823-page law that has governed the nation's income tax landscape for 64 years. Notable features of the bill include faceless jurisdiction for income tax authorities to enhance remote and digital tax administration, as well as provision for alternate dispute resolution, such as the formation of a dispute resolution committee and advanced rulings to streamline tax dispute settlements. Meanwhile, India and the U.S. are set to launch negotiations for a new trade agreement while working to resolve ongoing tariff disputes. The decision followed a meeting between President Donald Trump and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the White House. As part of the discussions, India agreed to increase imports of U.S. oil, gas, and military equipment alongside addressing issues related to illegal immigration. Global markets hold steady as Trump delayed tariff decision. These and more stories we bring to you after this time out. Please stay with us. Glad to know you are still with us. Global market remained near record highs on Friday, with European indexes on track for 8 consecutive weekly gain. The positive sentiment followed U.S. President Donald Trump's decision to hold off on imposing immediate reciprocal tariffs, signaling potential room for negotiations. Gold prices remain on track for its 7th straight week of gains as investor concerns ease after Trump's directive initiated an investigation into trade levies rather than implementing new tariffs immediately. And now U.S. President Donald Trump has instructed his economic team to develop plans for reciprocal tariffs targeting countries that impose duties on American imports. Announced on Thursday, the move seeks to equalize tariffs and counter trade barriers, including foreign regulations and value-added taxes that disadvantage U.S. goods. Although the directive does not immediately implement tariffs, it marks a more aggressive trade policy that could heighten global economic tensions. The initiative is aimed at major trading partners, including China, Japan, South Korea, and the European Union, sparking concerns about a potential trade war. However, the European Commission has swiftly rejected Trump's proposed reciprocal trade policy, urging that there is no justification for increased U.S. tariff on EU exports. In a statement on Friday, the Commission stressed that the EU maintains some of the world's lowest tariffs, with over 70% of imports entering tariff-free. It warned that any tariff hikes from Washington could be met with an immediate and firm response. As Trump pushes for stricter trade policies, global market brace for potential economic disruptions, while diplomatic tensions between the U.S. and the EU continue to rise. Still in the U.S., the United States has changed its non-immigrant visa renewal process, reducing the eligibility period from 48 months to 12 months. This adjustment affects many foreign nationals, including those holding H-1B specialty occupation visa, H-4 dependent visa, B-1 business visa, and F-1 student visa. With less time to renew, visa holders must act quickly to avoid travel or employment disruptions. This policy change is expected to increase demand for in-person visa appointments, as more applicants may no longer qualify for the mail-in reviewer process. Immigrant experts recommend that visa holders plan their renewal well in advance, regulatory check for available appointments, and stay updated on policy change. Failures to renew within the next 12 months window could result in applicants having to undergo a standard interview rather than an expedited renewal process. And that's all we have for you on the World News. Many thanks for watching. Don't forget, we are on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Thread, and X. I am Grace Komalafe. Good afternoon. In Nigeria, when you hear technology, innovation, and e-commerce, then you begin to think of the 21st century visionary leaders who have availed us the luxury of connecting with the world without leaving our spaces. Nigeria, alongside some other developing countries, has occupied the tech space, networking and making a brilliant impact around the world, all thanks to people like LSK. I am Grace Komalafe. Join me on the Corporate Maverick as we unveil the journey of a foresighted leader who foresaw the transformation of technology decades ago. The year 2001, known as the third millennium, stands out for some individuals. It was thought like every other regular year to some people, as they express the excitement that comes with experiencing a new millennium. While many carry on with the feeling of entering the 21st century, Some visionary individuals saw it as a strategic period to bet their thought-provoking plans and business goals. Among these visionary leaders and innovators is Leo Stan Eke, founder of Xenox Technology, bringing this tech-oriented company to life in 2001. How much do you know about this tech and business-driven giant? Who is Leo Stan Eke? Dr. Leonard Stanley Nnamdi Eke, popularly known as Leo Stan Eke, is one of Nigeria's dynamic and influential figures, an African entrepreneur born into the family of Ihentuge Eke on February 22, 1956 in Imo State, Nigeria. His mom, a dietitian, and dad, a nurse. His roots is traced back to Ubommiri Mbaitoli, where he was raised in the household that valued education and hard work. His parents instilled in him the values of discipline and perseverance from a young age. It was within this nurturing environment that Eke's entrepreneurial spirit began to take shape. Like many visionaries, Dr. Eke's journey to success was paved with academic excellence. He attended Holy Ghost College in Owerri for his secondary education, where he honed his intellect and ambition. Eke's dream of becoming the biggest transport company owner in Nigeria changed as a result of his encounter in India, where he had his university studies. It was a turnaround moment in his life. In India, he pursued a Bachelor of Science degree in economics from Punjab University, and the exposure to India's vibrant economy left an indelible mark on him and then tilted towards more realistic business ideas. This led him to get full involvement into ICT.
So I'm a very good testimony of an African who started from nothing, okay, and got somewhere, not there, right? Okay, so in summary, I came in here first of all to the University of Nottingham, or Nottingham University. I was in Cork City University, where I was doing computer science, and I wanted to specialize in user interface as a postgraduate course, okay? And the system, which I'm sure still exists in the UK, is that you have university counselors who observe you in classes and direct you properly. And they thought since I was going back to Africa, there was no computers. And if I got there, I could be frustrated for another 32 years. So they discussed with my parents, and they wanted to know if I could stay in the UK and continue computer science. I said, no, I was going back to Nigeria. I have passion to change the country, and by extension, the continent.
He later went on to earn a Master of Science in Risk Management from the Exton University of Nottingham, England, further enhancing his acumen in the field. With his tech startups dating back to the 80s, Eke can be put in the bracket of visionaries who saw that ICT would define the world in no distant time. His ICT Solutions company commenced operation in 1989, focusing on desktop publishing and computer graphics. Over the last 3 decades, the company extended operations from Lagos to Port Harcourt and Abuja, implementing several ICT projects across the oil and gas, telecoms, manufacturing, and public sectors.
I started small, like any other entrepreneur you read today. Okay, some started in the garage. Okay, most of them didn't inherit wealth. Now, so how could they have started? You start with your own. During our time, you have to start with your own sweat. Okay, until you build such, get to such a level with a system and structure in place, and then people trust you. But because our kids today pass through business schools connected to people, okay, and they now want to go from average above, you understand, instead of starting. A lot of us started from -1.
Leo Stan Eke's major hits into the business world commenced with the establishment of Xenox Technology Limited in 2001, With a fervent desire to contribute to Nigeria's technological space, he embarked on a mission to manufacture computers locally. Now a world-class ICT company providing innovative products and solutions. Under his leadership, Souq computers have emerged as a trailblazer in the industry, earning accolades for its quality and innovation. One of his notable achievements was the attainment of the Windows Hardware Quality Lab Testing (WHQL) certification, showing Souq's commitment to excellence. In 2013, the company made headlines with the launch of its computer tablet line, ZPad, marking another milestone in its illustrious journey. Dr. Ake's entrepreneurial prowess extends beyond the realm of technology. In 2018, his company Souq made waves with the acquisition of Konga.com, a leading e-commerce platform in Nigeria. This landmark deal underscored Ake's strategic vision and his unwavering dedication to driving innovation in diverse sectors. Konga.com was founded by Sim Shagaya in July 2012 as a third-party online marketplace. 99% of its shares were acquired by Souq in February 2018. 3 months later, Konga merged with Souq's retail outfit Udala to form the biggest e-commerce company in Africa, retaining the brand name Konga. Leonard Stanley Ake also founded BuyRightAfrica.com Limited in 2008, at a time when credit card and e-payment infrastructures were still strange to many Nigerians. He did this to resolve funding issues for ICT projects and companies. He partnered with international financiers to help Africans acquire technology and compete globally. Some other of his establishments are Technology Distribution Limited, Tax Direct Limited, and iTech Solutions. He is involved in ICT Brokers and ICT Connect.
Okay, but mine had a call. I had a call on the tech sector, and I've been consistent. And if you remember, my first step was to deal with the doubting Thomases, the media people. And it was like an evangelism. If you prove your worth to press people, to media people, because these are the critics of our time, then they follow you. You get to your destination faster. So when I did the whole media houses, transitioning them to digital economy through digital processing, through from typesetting to desktop publishing, computer graphics, okay, and multimedia. Then they started spreading the news. But again, we had to enhance that profile to the corporate world so that people can run offices with data analytics to guide them on advice, projections, okay, and where they're headed to. And then even our election. Okay, so today there would have been crisis in the economy if elections don't have facts and figures. And we did that with the DDC and then did authentication with a card reader.
If you've come this far, kindly like, comment, and share. Throughout Ake's career, he remained committed to empowering others and fostering socio-economic development. His philanthropic endeavors and advocacy for youth empowerment reflect his belief in the transformative power of entrepreneurship. He launched the Computerized Nigeria project in August 2000, thereby encouraging development and the use of computers. He also launched the Can I scheme, providing affordable laptops to young Nigerians with a repayment plan of 24 months window. Ake's foundation furthers his charitable efforts, supporting various causes with different donations across the country.
Now I see entrepreneurs trying to live big. Are you with me? Yeah. I see entrepreneurs trying to show off. You must have incubation period. Every successful entrepreneurs are seen to be stingy because they know the value of every dollar spent. but they use the same money to sustain the society. Okay, so I just want to advise Nigerians here. I see a lot of you startups now selling debt. It means technically you are leaving the company. And if I'm an investor, I watch your lifestyle. First of all, I see an entrepreneur, Nigerian entrepreneur. He hasn't started, he has expensive cars. Entrepreneurs, startups don't drive the best cars. They hide until they emerge.
He was bestowed with the Icon of Hope Award by former President Olusegun Obasanjo on October 1, 2002. He also got Nigerian Science and Technology Achievers of the Year 2003 and Officer of the Order of the Federal Republic of Nigeria OFR in 2004. Eke is also a member of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group and holds a life membership, Nigeria Institute of International Affairs. He also holds an honorary doctorate in business administration from Imo State University, Owerri, Federal University of Agriculture, Makurdi, Federal University of Technology, Owerri, and the University of Jos. He is a fellow of the Lagos State Polytechnic, Lagos, Federal Polytechnic, Ida, and Federal Polytechnic, Nekede, Imo State.
Leadership is big crisis in the third world. Big subject to discuss. I don't have a complete answer, but as an entrepreneur, I can create platforms for you to decide who should be your leader. But my interest is that I'm excited with this 21st century because this is the only century God did not create any person to be poor. In the past, many were called and few were chosen. In 21st century, many are called and many will be chosen. But you have to decide if you want to be one of those to be chosen.
Leonard Stanley Nnamdi Eke is married to Chioma Eke, the CEO of Technology Distributions Limited, TD Africa, and together they have raised 3 sons and 2 daughters who are doing well in their respective fields of endeavors, just like their parents. As Dr. Leonard Stanley Nnamdi Eke continues to chart new territories and inspire future generations, it speaks to the limitless potential of the African entrepreneurial spirit. With his visionary leadership and unwavering resolve, Dr. Eke embodies the essence of innovation and resilience, creating indelible marks on Nigeria's business in Africa and humanity. Leonard Stanley Nnamdi Eke.
In 1957, just a greenhorn, leaving school and looking for a job, going into broadcasting was something that I dreamt of. But that's only meant going into radio, because my old school, Holy Child College, still on the same site in Obalende, 2 streets away from the old NBC. I still can't forgive whoever changed the name to something else that is being called now FRCN. Because if the BBC remains BBC 100 years after the founding fathers, dreamt of starting television, radio from, all the war years, learning a bit from America. It all started from America. Because we were taught about all this. Every time they took us from school to take part in, schools debates on radio. We just walked across. It's all in Obalende and Ikoyi, Balende/Ikoyi. So I dreamt of doing something along the line. And then one of my teachers left us high and dry. He went to be a news reader on radio. Marie Tabio, who later became Mrs. Irikefe. Then we had people like Tung Adedoyin and Souq. We used to listen to them on radio on the old, you wouldn't know anything about that now, the rediffusion. It was just, a little box in your home, and everybody looked forward to either listening to the 7 o'clock news in the morning or 6 o'clock or 7 in the evening. So that was all really all I had to do with broadcasting. And who was going to take me there was another matter altogether. Who would take you, little 16, 17-year-old girl, into broadcasting? But one had been bitten by the bug then. So, and only God knows where whatever dream you had was going to lead to. We read poetry, we did radio show, stage shows in school. Catholic schools were very good for that. And my old school, just celebrating 150 years of its existence, just down the road from here on Broad Street. The nuns, they were all white nuns. No Nigerian nuns at the time that we were growing up. So all the dream they had, this kind of dream that we have now, going to England, but they were coming here to teach us. So I had learnt a lot of poetry, I had taken part in Festival of Arts, and I had gone to, the biggest hall we had then was at King's College, which is also down the road. Means of transportation was your SS foot. No BRT, no bicycles or whatever. So we did it all just walking around and learning from our teachers. And of course, our mentors were the nuns, like I said. So in my wildest dream, there was no way that I was thinking of going into anything like broadcasting. That is going back to answer your question. But they had a lot of plans for the girl child. And not along the religious lines now. But actually, they came to actually engender this whole idea of pushing the girl child forward. And not just me, a lot of us. People like Mrs. Francesca Emmanuel, they also went through the whole gamut of all this dream that I'm talking about. Television itself was brand new in the world. I have to talk about radio because that was what I knew as a child. But television, when it started, we didn't even know. Maybe in America, and then it went to Australia, and then to France. No. France came after Nigeria. You wouldn't believe that, would you? That we were number 6. America, Britain, Germany, Australia, one other country, and coming now home to Nigeria, where you cannot help but give a lot of credit to the dreams of people like late Chief Obafemi Awolowo and one of his ministers then, Chief Anthony Enahoro. So that's how I believe this whole package was placed on their laps and sold to Nigeria, to the Western Nigeria government. On the radar were lots of other people like me who had dreams about becoming Miss Nigeria. So maybe that will now give you a little background about how I took part in the Miss Nigeria pageant, Western Nigeria, and I became Miss Western Nigeria. Somebody must have fine-tuned some little knot somewhere and said, okay, you probably might be able to deliver. Because you are being interviewed when you go before the panel of judges. And somebody must have said, okay, that's a good material, you can come and take part in this. Before then, we had other people, Anike Agbaje Williams, Oliola Sokwe, who were working on radio. My dream was to work in radio, but then I missed that. And I was nursing, that dream of still going to radio. Never knew what television was all about. So maybe that answers your question, I'm not sure. But I took part in the Miss Western Nigeria pageant and I won. Took part in the Miss Nigeria contest and came second. So that meant that I didn't win. And if one of the, maybe the prize was to go on TV, it wasn't even there. It wasn't written into the, program that whoever did this, but the person was going to go to England. And so Helena Yemeluna, who won that contest, went to London and fulfilled her own dream. But I was still biting my nails, waiting for when I'll be able to get a job. There were other things that girls could do. You could be a nurse, you could be a teacher, you could be an assistant, a dental assistant. All those were things that young ladies, can, fulfill their dreams along those lines. They're still there. You still have young ladies. Mrs. Muritala Muhammad, the first time I met her, she was a dental assistant. Little did we know that her husband was going to be the head of state and she would be first. So you see, lots of things were there for the young girl who wanted to learn, who had the talent, and who wanted to perform, and who wanted to work hard. But now I don't know if girls want to work hard. All they want is, the table to be set, and then they come and, partake of whatever is there. It wasn't too difficult at the time that I was picked as one of the people to come and appear in WNTV. The audition was actually carried out before my time. I got involved in so many other things, trying to get a job, something to secure, something, to alleviate poverty. There was not too much poverty in Nigeria at the time because people could still eke a living for themselves and, get by in society. But I was lucky that I had an aunt who was a nurse in the hospital in Ibadan, UCH in Ibadan. And she was married to an Englishman, and the man's friend happened to have been the man, Mr. Mathers, who was brought as one of the technical partners to WNTV. So we met at a dinner party, and just as you and I are chatting, I was only 18 plus. I was 17 when I took part in the pageant. But by this time I was growing up, and I thought I was a big girl. So I opened my mouth and I said a few things. And the man looked at me and said, how come you are not speaking with a Nigerian accent? And I didn't know what he meant because we were taught at St. Mary's to deliver whatever lines we were given to deliver. The Festival of Arts, I came second after an English boy from Corona School. And I was given a beating for coming second. Not because I didn't perform well, but because I forgot to curtsy. And one of the judges, I think, who was then Mrs. Abayomi, Lady Abayomi, said that I delivered my lines very well. So if I were the Lord of Tartary, I would do this and that and the other. And so I came second. And when I got back to the school, the nun, Sister Marieta, said, you were not paying attention. So whatever you do in life, you have to be consistent. You have to perform well. The way we're trying to do now, the way we're trying to project your voice and whatever it is you have to offer with a lot of humility, not trying to show off or to project your own image, or whatever message you have to deliver, you have to make sure that it is well delivered. The following year, St. Mary's Convent School, which is my old school, which is 150 years old in existence, went to the same King's College Hall, and we beat a lot of secondary schools. We came first. Pied Piper of Hamelin. Have you ever heard of that poetry? Pied Piper of Hamelin was about someone who wanted to get rid of all the rats in Europe. And all he did was to play the pipe. So that is what we were more or less doing. That's what you and I are being a Pied Piper, trying to get off all the ills in society. That's the main job of a broadcaster. There's so many things happening in the country, and it's only TV and radio that binds the country together. If the country falls apart tomorrow, you will rely on someone from radio or from television to make the announcement, to introduce the head of state who has just won the election or the one who has just taken over. It's a huge responsibility. At that age, at 19, we had to introduce people like Chief Obafemi Awolowo on TV. We had to introduce people like Akintola, Oladoke Akintola, as the premier. And when everything broke down and it all went into smithereens, they brought in Chief Majekodumi as the administrator of the Western region. All this happening before our eyes. There were no other stations in the country except WNTV. And we were there, so we learned quite a lot. In fact, I believe that the whole country revolves around broadcasting. And if you are part of that organization, how would you feel at my age, at 80-something? As young people, perhaps you don't know all this history that I'm telling you about. It's a long, long story. But when you sit down, you have to put it all into perspective. You see that, well, some people are actually meant to be in different positions. Some people are meant to be doctors. Some people are meant to be nurses. But those of us that are in broadcasting, it's a huge responsibility. It's a passion. Something. Sometimes you don't even know how you got there in the first place. Or somebody may have discovered you. It's like being in Hollywood in those days. Someone has to develop, so you have the talent, the latent talent, and then somebody will discover you. So that's how I was discovered by Mr. Mathers at a dinner. I was put in that place because I had won the Miss Western Nigeria contest. If I hadn't done that, I probably would be somewhere in the kitchen washing plates, washing all the dishes. So there you are, if that answers your question. Well, there's no one that actually picks someone and puts you plonk without, I mean, of course, if you don't have any experience on the job, you have no business being there in the first place. But if I had taken part in Pied Piper of Hamelin towns in Brunswick, I was only 13, by famous Hanover City, I was speaking like an English person. In Nigeria, little girl being nurtured, by my mother, who was a seamstress. How would you ever get there? But you already have that background, that solid background on the rock, as it were. So, by the time I was ready to go on TV, I had learnt from all the other, people that I mentioned their names earlier, like Anike Agbaje Williams. And I wouldn't say it was easy, because you always have that, butterfly fluttering in front of the camera or wherever. I think I took to television like I was meant to be there, with all humility. If I had been groomed by all these nuns that I have mentioned their names, they came to Nigeria to serve the people. They were not earning salaries, To become a nun, you have to take the oath of obedience, chastity, poverty, and all that. So you're not earning a salary. But whoever is there now is thinking of how much money he's going to get from whatever take comes from here, there, and yonder. So they taught us well. And nobody said you're going to go and appear on TV or you're going to be on radio. But just do what you're meant to do properly. It's a lot of sense of responsibility and diligence. And that stands at the back of your mind. That goes everywhere with you, wherever you go in life. Even when I was nursing a sick child, my late son was a sick child. And I was meant to take part in Verdict 79 with my colleagues Kerry Ahmed and Adamu Aogi. They all came with me to the hospital, which is just next door here. And then we came back and mounted the podium and continued our business as if nothing was happening. He didn't die at the time, of course, but the job must go on. That is always there at the back of your mind. So my first night, I wouldn't say that I didn't have any jitters, that I was not nervous. But I was able to deliver, and I think that was the staying power. That was what kept me going, because other people came on board. I was not the only one. All the members of the board had their own, little nephews and nieces that they wanted to project on TV. They all came and they couldn't make it. But Anike and I kept going. And if you gave me a script now, I think I would try and... We didn't have too many, what do you call it then, teleprompters. Well, I was very good at, I had a photographic memory. So I was able to get hold of the script, and in less than 60 seconds, I'll be able to deliver it straight to the camera. That was one of the assets that I had also, which was God's gift. It's not by own might or whatever you think you have. You have the talent, of course, but also there has to be some other little bits of gifts that will help you to project the image of the professional. A lot of controversy. There is hardly any TV, radio, movie personality that can scale through that without any, because people are watching, people are trying to find their own little, bits of criticism here, there, and yonder. You can't be a goodie, 2 shoots without, any, how shall I say it, problem here, there, and yonder. So everybody has their own way of looking at people. People say, well, what has she got to do? She went to take part in Miss Western Nigeria the other day. So what's the big deal about her? And then somebody will still add their own salt and pepper here and there. But I was lucky that I was being nurtured by someone like T.O.S. Benson, who was then our Minister for Information. And he felt that, everything should not stop here. There were things happening in America. He made sure that my name was there. I was at the inauguration of President Johnson, Lyndon Johnson. And we commanded a lot of attention there, myself and my colleague who came from Lagos, the station in Lagos. And for the president to notice that there were 2 black people sitting behind him at his inaugural ball, I think it was very overwhelming for me, because not many black people had invitation to that event. But Charity Adadevo and I were there, and he stood up and shook our hands where we were sitting behind, 3 rows behind the president. Then Kennedy had died, and we were still not seeing, we were still feeling very hot about, the loss of Kennedy. And here was the new president coming up. We were not particularly keen on being welcomed by him. But then, things like that happen to you, and it makes headline news. 2 black people, they didn't even say Nigerians. They thought we were from Ghana, because some journalists came around and said, "How is your man Nkrumah?" And we said, "No, our own prime minister is Tafawa Balewa." They never heard of him then. But then they had to go and carry out their own study and find out who Tafawa Balewa was. And of course, the whole country was very proud of us that we went and actually stole the show at the inauguration of President Lyndon Johnson. So many other things happened. When I came to London, the British Information Office, they were trying to look for someone to host their program. That has happened to be around, so they picked me to host their program. But you don't ad-lib on any of those stations. Everything is written out. The questions, even your answer will be written. You can change it around a little bit, but they make sure that you said the right thing at the right time. So that was how we were able to gain attention. German television also invited us because they were interested in Nigeria. See how the German chancellor came to Nigeria. That was what happened at the time. In 1963, we had just gained, we had just become a republic then, from being an independent station in 1960. By 1963, we then became a republic. And we were chosen to go and appear on German television in Berlin. And they wanted a little bit of culture. So Benson had his own band. So we were chosen to go and represent Nigeria then. Nobody knew who the ambassador was, but they wanted to know who was presenting something on TV. So that's how important television has been. And that, in fact, we were the first television in the whole of Africa. The very first station, WNTV, that was a call signal. WNTV, first in Africa. There's nothing like that now. Nobody wants to know whether you are first or second. But the station that is being run in Nigeria, I think, has the largest number of stations than any other country in Africa. We have about 21 stations, and now it's still, still counting. And yours is coming on board, and so many others. I think next to America, Nigeria should have been the best country for television broadcasting in the whole world. There's not so many countries in the world that has as many stations as Nigeria. We only have to put our heads together. We only have to find joy in whatever we're doing. Sometimes when it's raining, people say, "Oh, it's raining," and they feel very bad about the rain. But if you look closely, behind that rain, there will be sunshine, there will be something else coming on. You see some silver clouds coming during the rain, but Nigerians don't have the patience to wait for that kind of thing. That's what television teaches you. If you're in the studio, you don't know what's happening outside. You just get on with the job. That's what we were taught. We were taught not by Nigerians. Even when we started, we couldn't go on air and ad-lib. There was always someone there, Mr. Blackledge, to write the script. And if you can commit that to memory and deliver it, they're home and dry. It's not everyone that has a gift, not everyone that has a talent. It's God-given. And if you listen as a child at 17, 18, 19, at my own age, I learned from school, and I was able to impart this into the job. So within a few months, we got double promotion, all of us, because we were doing very well. Anike Agbadi was excellent. Olasope was superb. And so many other people reading the news. We were the first female to read the news. Women were not allowed to read the news. Nigeria started it. BBC wouldn't allow a woman to pick up a script and read the news. We were already there. So that's how we were able to gain this global attention that you mentioned. It's not easy. It's not easy. Like I said, when we were taught by, not by Nigerians, but somebody came along the line and said, we